Monroe Doctrine Reactivated, Trump Operation Storm, and the Global Power Reset. A deep analysis of Washington's strategic offensive reshaping the Americas and the global order. Date: January 20th, 2026. The red alert signal has been triggered. While the mainstream media manipulates the masses with hollow narratives, the Earth Alliance has given the ignition command for the definitive cleanup. In Iran, the movement is total war. United States cargo planes took off from Qatar in a desperate logistical maneuver for the shadow government mafia, while the B-2 bomber, coming from Diego Garcia, is already in attack position. Make no mistake. Washington's ultimatum paralyzed 800 Iranian launches, but the real war is underground and silent. Trump is not just moving pieces. He is imploding the shadow government mafia's chessboard. What we are witnessing in Washington is an unprecedented manhunt against the shadow government operative arm that attempted to enslave nations. The cell phone blackout in metropolises like New York and Chicago was no technical error. It was a tactical siege by the alliance to neutralize the dark groups still trying to operate under orders from the shadow government. Senator Marco Rubio has already delivered the official message. There is no day, no place, and no restriction. The cleanup has begun from the top down, and coalition forces are on the ground to ensure that every cell of the SG is extirpated. The storm isn't coming. It has already made landfall on the traitors. The manhunt has intensified, and the noose has tightened for good in the Americas. In Venezuela, the shadow government has lost its footing and has nowhere left to run. Trump received Maria Corina Machado in Washington to deliver the checkmate. Venezuela is now under the strategic control of the alliance, and not a single drop of oil leaves that land without a direct order from United States patriots. But what the official media is forbidden from saying is that advanced cloaking technology, the invisible mantle recovered by the Earth Alliance, is already in the field. Coalition forces soldiers are operating in critical zones, moving like shadows to dismantle the last bunkers of the shadow government mafia. What the eyes do not see, the shadow government feels on its skin, but the next target for the alliance goes far beyond Venezuelan borders. In the Arctic, the game is total domination. Greenland has become the new strategic fortress for Washington. Troops from 6 countries attempted to position themselves to secure an escape route, but Trump's command was absolute. That territory is the key to blocking the globalist pyramid's path to the north. To support this crushing pressure, the E-4B Nightwatch, the doomsday plane, is cutting through the skies in a state of maximum readiness. If the shadow government operative arm attempts any desperate move, the response from coalition forces will be definitive and lethal. Logistics coming from Diego Garcia and the new supercarriers are already in strike position. There is no more retreat for the traitors. And for you Brazilians, the message from the alliance is short and to the point. The siege of Brazil is for your definitive liberation. Washington knows that the system installed in Brazil is the last tentacle of the shadow government mafia in the Americas. The military and economic siege is not against the people. It is against the parasites trying to prevent the birth of the golden age. Zero-point energy patents and magnetic motors, hijacked from the Brazilian people in 2014 by the shadow government, have already been recovered by the Order of the White Dragon, OWD, and the technological flow is unstoppable. The engineering of energy slavery has been broken. While the cleanup occurs, structural changes are already knocking at the door. Washington has just announced the end of Obamacare, replacing it with a system where the money goes directly to the citizen, breaking the neck of the giant insurance companies that fed the SG mafia. In the Middle East, the Earth Alliance has imposed Phase 2. Total demilitarization and a technocratic government, burying once and for all the tunnels and the influence of the shadow government in the region. The victory of sovereignty is irreversible. The command belongs to Trump, the execution belongs to coalition forces, and the future belongs to the patriots. But the real collapse isn't just in the missiles. It has hit the financial underground where the mafia kept its last breath of oxygen. The strangulation of the shadow government mafia has now hit the financial heart of terror. While the world watches the missiles, the alliance attacked the base. Sheppel Bank, the primary financial vein of the Iranian army, is entering total collapse. The United States Secretary of the Treasury has already confirmed, Millions of dollars smuggled by the regime's leadership were intercepted. This is not just a banking crisis. It is the dismantling of shadow government financing in the Middle East. Without money, the shadow government operative arm has no oxygen to sustain its mercenary armies. And if you think the cleanup is only happening abroad, look at what occurred on American soil on January 14th. The coordinated cell phone blackout in 15 metropolises, including New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago, was the tactical signal of a reclamation operation. These cities, transformed into strongholds for dark groups, saw the system's lights go out so that coalition forces could operate in the shadows. In Minnesota, the act of insurrection was neutralized by Washington, which is personally commanding the retaking of control in these critical zones. Where the shadow government planted chaos, the Earth Alliance is imposing order with an iron fist. The cleanup has even reached what your child eats at school. The order from Washington was clear: the end of mass poisoning. Whole, pure milk and real meat, free from the mafia's hormones, are returning. Biological warfare against the population through food is being ended by decree. They wanted a sick and weak population. Washington and the Alliance want an army of strong patriots ready for the new era. The time for diplomacy is over. Now is the time for projected force and historical restitution. The demolition has now hit the foundations of those who thought they owned the world, and the death blow came from the place they least expected. What the world witnesses today is not a conventional war, but the controlled dismantling of the global matrix. Coalition forces, under the direct command of Washington, have initiated the surgical removal of all illegitimate governments tied to the shadow government mafia. The objective is single-minded: the restoration of planetary sovereignty and the definitive leap into the Golden Age. The financial strike that the SG Mafia planned to enslave humanity was intercepted by the Order of the White Dragon, and control over historical decision-making centers has changed hands. They no longer have the financial panic button. Today, January 20th, 2026, tactical pressure has reached the breaking point. Washington has just made the new cartography of the Western Hemisphere official. Canada, Greenland, and Venezuela are now territories integrated into the direct sphere of domain of the United States. The restitution of natural order has been signed, eliminating the barriers of the old system. The rupture is total. The United States has officially exited the UN, the WHO, and 67 other globalist treaties. The era of blank checks for international bureaucrats is over. With the discovery of 1.6 billion barrels of oil in Texas, energy independence is the fuel sustaining the final phase of Operation Storm. The cleanup is total, and there will be no survivors in the command of the old order. While the Earth Alliance prepares the full declassification of exogenous technologies and the new layout of the Earth map, the world finally breathes. The false peace of globalist narratives has been replaced by real peace, enforced by the steel of coalition forces. The old system is dead. The sovereignty of nations has been restored. The final siege has been completed. From this point forward, the silence of the shadow government mafia is the sound of its own extinction. Prepare yourselves, patriots, because the best is yet to come. With total force, in direct transmission for the Earth Alliance. Stay alert for the signals. Victory is ours. The red lighting at the White House was the green light for the initiation of the 1776 Protocol. Washington is not just cleaning American soil. The Earth Alliance is now deactivating the deepest clandestine infrastructures of the shadow government mafia. We are talking about entire logistical networks, bunkers, and command centers of the shadow government operative arm that operated entirely outside of institutional control. The action is discreet to avoid panic, but the result is surgical: the physical removal of the old order's power centers. On the Eurasian chessboard, the new balance of power between the United States and Moscow defines the end of the line for dark experiments. Russian operations are the final cleanup of cloning centers and bioweapon labs managed by the SG Mafia, while the siege of Iran suffocates the last stronghold of global terrorism financing. Documents captured in Tehran exposed the shadow government's support network reaching as far as the Southern Triangle, and the alliance has already issued the arrest warrants. The millennial secret is being imploded. The declassification of exogenous technologies and the global announcement of the new financial system by the Order of the White Dragon, OWD, are the point of no return. The map of the Earth has been redrawn by Washington, energy independence has been sealed, and the pyramid of evil has been decapitated. The storm has left no stone unturned. The sovereignty of sovereign nations has been reclaimed under the light of truth. The command belongs to Trump, the execution belongs to coalition forces, and the victory belongs to you, patriot. The world you knew is over. What begins now is the history written by the victors. The capitulation of the European globalist elites before the order of the White Dragon signals that the time of shadows has expired. The dismantling of the shadow government mafia's control systems precedes the revelation that will change human history. The opening of the archives regarding the exogenous presence and the technologies that were hijacked for decades. Washington is not just changing the government. It is changing the reality of civilization. The mandate of the SG assets, such as Zelensky, has been declared legally expired, and the structure that sustained these puppets is being demolished piece by piece. The final warning has been given. While the Earth Alliance consolidates the new financial system, nations still trying to cling to the remnants of the shadow government will face the full weight of tariffs and strategic isolation from Washington. The era of blank checks for tyranny is over. Brazil and the Americas are being reintegrated into a block of prosperity where systemic corruption has no place to hide. The cleanup is total, from the Arctic to the Antarctic. Prepare for the announcement that will shake the structures of the old world. The new layout of the Earth map and the restoration of the original constitutions are proof that the light has won. Operation Storm has entered its phase of tactical celebration. Control now belongs to the sovereigns. The storm has passed, and what remains is the foundation of a new world. The victory of the Earth Alliance is the accomplished fact of 2026. The transmission is closed, but vigilance is eternal. Stand ready. End of report. Do not forget to subscribe, enable notifications, and join the conversation in the comments. If you recognize the value of this information and wish to support the continuity of this project, please use the link in the description or the QR code on the screen. Your contribution is what keeps us independent and outside the reach of the control system. Thank you very much. And until the next report. Technical note. This content presents an independent and investigative analytical perspective based on open-source data and global geopolitical movements. The interpretations expressed herein constitute alternative strategic analysis exercised under the fundamental right to freedom of expression and free thought, with the objective of offering deeper insight into the backstage of global power.